Well, hello, everybody. Let me see here. I ended up having to make a change again. Seems to be my theme. Hang on a second, let me write a note here. Check for other live stream. Again. And I think I'm on there. Let me see if I can find myself as well. Hope everybody's doing good. If there's anybody there, I think it wasn't very many waiting on the other live stream, but now I need to find. Nope, didn't want to do that. Tell you what, this is getting frustrating. Probably for you as well, definitely for me. About now, my HR department's thinking, what's going on here? All right, I see I got a few people here. Hopefully you found me. And yeah, sorry about that. It was a vertical again. I know I set it up this time. I know I hit horizontal on that, but we're on vertical now. So I'm glad to see that you're here. I see Frank and Sherry and Silver Stacks. So, hey, you know, I have people say, you need to give notice ahead of time, you know, so that we know you're having it. And I did decide yesterday, somewhat late, put it on the community page. And then I waited till this morning where I had the camera set up so that I didn't have any snafu. That worked, didn't it? Anyway, we're here live. And there's a few things I wanted to talk about. And I wanted to get a live stream in here before the end of the month. And next weekend is going to be crazy busy. I think I mentioned it somewhere along the line, but I went ahead and I set up for my very first booth to sell leather items here in the Phoenix area, and that's next Saturday. So I'm like, you know, that weekend's going to have enough going on. I've got some family in town and such, so I thought I would jump in here today on it. And I've just got a few things I wanted to talk about. I'm actually working on leather for the video for next weekend. And a lot of times I am probably even further ahead than that. But it's based off of some conversation we had on the last live stream. And that was getting some leather, different leathers, and seeing how they tool side by side. So I just received this hide in. This is 8 to 9 ounce MTL leather, and I have a hide of 8 to 9 ounce Herman oak leather as well. And I know it's a pattern you've seen me do before, the basket weave, but I thought that maybe the right thing to do would be to use something that I'm not trying to figure out that pattern when I'm trying to compare the tooling. The other thing is that when I complete these journal covers. I'm making a series of journal covers here. When I complete those, let me grab one here that I have the tooling done for, and I have it, the finish on it, but I haven't assembled it yet. Anyway, you can see a large area here because it's possible whenever you're tooling leather to have an area, you know, in fairly close proximity tool a little bit differently depending on what happened with that leather in the tanning process. So anyway, that video next weekend is, if I get it done, I think it will, I'm going to make 4 of these journal covers, and I'm going to make 2 of them from the MTL leather, and I'm going to make 2 of them from the Herman oak leather. And the things I want to be able to see that I think are important, and put in notes here if there's anything that you think I should be looking at that I'm not. But I want to see, one, how the burnish works on each one of them. Just straight up burnish. And I'll do my best to try to get them cased the same, because the casing on the leather can make a big difference on how the burnish comes out on it. So I'm creating 4. I'm going to do 2 of them all the way through, and the only thing it'll have on it will be a little bit of oil, and then I'm going to use, I think, just the leather dressing by Duff's. I'm just going to use that. And when I was in Prescott, I think it's the owner of that, he had a booth there, and he was talking about just using that, nothing else, no tan coat, Reslene or anything, and likes how you end up picking up oils off of your hands and kind of gives it more of a, probably what would be a traditional leather finish. When I go back to, the 1800s, early 1900s, I don't think leather dye was as popular. A lot of things were done natural and then let to age on their own. And so that's what I'm going to use. I'm going to use that. So on two of them, one of the MTL leather and one of the Hermann Oak leather, I'm just going to take it through. I'll do the tooling on the complete item, and then I will give it an oil. After the oil, then I'll let that dry and I'll do the leather dressing. I'll do two of them that way. And then the other two, because I see some debate at times, make sure I don't lose this thing here. I see some debate at times about the burnish isn't as important, because if you're going to, say, antique the finish, then you get the same type of a look. So I realize there are people that have a debate and opinion in that area, that you can buy a less expensive leather that maybe tools fine, but you don't have that nice color definition that you get. And I will say that when I've tooled some in like Don Gonzalez's class, that the leather, let me turn this a little bit here, the leather gets a nice burnish color to it. And so you have really beautiful definition without using any antiquing. And I do like that look. So anyway, I think that'll give us a good comparison. So it'll be with antique and without antique. And then in the same video, we'll do a little bit of comparison to see, does one of them burnish better than the other? Does one of them then edge finish better? So do I get a nice burnish when I'm edge finishing, more so with one over the other? And I'm not sure where it's going to come out on it. The Hermann Oak that I have tooled in Don's classes, I've liked how it works. That's all he uses. And he's admittedly, he says he's a leather snob, and that's, all he uses. And it could be partially because they give him a bunch of leather for his classes as well. But so far, this MTL leather reached out to me off of that and said, if you want to see how one compares to the other, we'll send you a couple hides. So there's a video coming out here on Wednesday of stuff that I got in, but they gave me the 8 to 9 in theirs and the 8 to 9 in the Hermann Oak. So we'll see how that works. Let's see here. I see a few people here. Top of the morning. James, you still lost sound? I can't turn mine up here. I'll get feedback on there. I think my microphone's turned off. No, it's on. All right. So, I don't know. Maybe I've got a problem with my laptop here. So I think that'll be a good comparison there. I ordered some other material in. I guess I'll tip my hand a little bit, and I guess that's what you get if you come around on my live stream and see it. But I ordered contact adhesive because I use Weldwood. You guys all know I use Weldwood. That's all I've ever used. The only time I've used anything different was in Don Gonzalez's class this last month, and he had, I don't even remember now what it was, like top coat or something like that. But I've received Barge Masters and the 315, the water-based adhesive. And I see a lot of discussion on, how's one compared to the other. And I was discussing it with my brother not long ago, that if they all work, now it becomes a challenge to see how they work. And he's actually wearing one of the very first belts that I made, and one of them, the one he's using right now, it has 0 hand stitching.
It's fading in and out. I'd suggest going back to it.
I'm sorry, everybody. I guess. All right, so I'm back on Wi-Fi here. So I was discussing about how a challenge it can be to have what I think is a valid test. So I worked in the coating industry for years, and we set up blind test. Someone else comes in, sets up all of the buckets of paint, our paint against someone else's paint. And sometimes you're testing rollers, so you may have the same paint, 5 rollers, you don't know what they are, and you're testing those.
It's still coming and going. It's every 3 words it goes off back and
Well,
forth.
I don't know how to fix it beyond that. Maybe it's your feed. Can somebody tell me, are they having problems hearing it? HR department says it's cutting in and out, so I just want to know if it's working that way. Noel said coming and going, but I don't know if that's recent. Only thing I can do is quit, I guess. But when we would do a test, the only way I know to test contact adhesive to know if it works or not is you test to fail. And I've always used 2 coats. So I guess I could set up each one of those and do 1 coat and see if you get something that works, there. Maybe it's, I can set up and maybe measure out 2 ounces of each one, see how far they brush. But some of that's somewhat subjective according to how heavily you apply it. So what I was saying about my brother's belt is it has 2 coats of weldwood adhesive on there. That belt's like 4.5 years old, and it's not sewn, and it's, it works perfectly fine. So anyway, because I see people, say I wouldn't sell a belt that hasn't been stitched together because it'll fall apart. I don't know. It's probably somewhere down the road. So, yeah, now I don't know what's going on here on coming and going. I guess if it's coming and going, I can always start another live stream, I guess. Yeah.
All I can think of is stop the whole live stream and start a whole new one, see if that helps.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'll try that. And if it doesn't work, I'm just going to stop the live stream and start another one right behind here. So it won't take but a couple moments to reset here. Sorry about that.